Hello everybody and welcome to another week of Tryhard Tuesdays where we all learn to try a little bit harder here at .p. I am your host, the Grand Wazoo, and sitting here with me is my co-host as usual, the Grandmaster Flubb. How's it going, Flubb?
Hey man, how's it going?
And going pretty good, man. Getting real TI hyped, TI hype. And joining us as well is AG for our team building section. So AG, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, good to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. So guys, it's been a pretty good week in Dota. I mean, it feels like the changes for the game are perfect for TI, the environment, the meta. It's all reached a good point where we're going to see some of the best Dota that's ever been played.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, leading up to that, just leading up to the event, I mean, we've seen it. We've seen teams like OG blow our minds, and like it's kind of like mind-blowing that we're all going to be seeing this unfold live.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things that, like, even though we think we know the meta right now, it is going to be so different, and it's going to be even more mind-blowing as the actual event happens. Every year, they surprise me more and more. Like, I think when the year that Void came out was super popular, I was like, I don't really like the hero. And then, like, they put him into offlane. I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever in existence. Like, why did I not see this? And that's kind of a cool thing about pros is like you can think you know everything about Dota, but once TI hits, man, there's just like you're gonna see crazy things that you've never even thought of.
Yeah, we are now a week and a half away, or about a week from the main event. AG, have you gone to the other events in the past? Have you seen any live?
I have not. So I moved to Seattle a little less than a year ago, so like I just missed out on TI5. But I've watched everything since TI2 through the stream and stuff. And yeah, I'll totally back what Flubb is saying. Like I feel like two things. Every year we talk about how like maybe we'll get as good of a TI. Like after TI3, I can't remember if it was LD or Gods, but somebody was like, they better start working on Dota 3 because you'll never get a TI like that again. And like, yeah, TI4 maybe wasn't so good, but TI5 was insane. So, and also like about the meta and like pros bringing stuff out that we haven't seen. Like 2 months ago, who would have been like Shadow Demon's probably going to be like one of the most played heroes potentially as a sport. Like nobody was talking about fucking Shadow Fiend, and all of a sudden, at like every game I'm in, I'm like, maybe we should draft Shadow Fiend here. Or sorry, not Shadow Fiend, Shadow Demon.
Yeah,
Shadow Demon.
You said it right first. And Shadow Fiend, I was like, no, that's the wrong Shadow.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see a Shadow Fiend too. You never know. But Shadow Demon for sure. Like
if you like enable cheats and give him an Ags right off the bat. Like then he's a good hero. No, I'm joking.
It's so interesting to me, like how slight changes can just totally throw some supports way back into the meta when people are like, no, that hero's garbage, like dumpster tier, bottom 5, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, they made one slight change and now that hero's like first pick, first ban.
Balance is a tenuous thing. It's funny you were mentioning how TI5 was a good TI. Me and the .p guys were there last year, and when that EG $6 million Echo Slam went off, like everyone in the arena was on their feet, and it's incredible to be so linked with so many people. Like and like I barely go to sports events, so like I know sports people like are way into it when you're way into your team, but to feel that in Dota is incredible because you feel how far you've come, and now we're going to see the biggest prize pool of any tournament ever, and we're going to be there on the ground watching it happen, documenting it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's more than pretty cool. It's freaking awesome, man. This is like dreams come true. For at least for me, like I've always wanted to be a part of this. This is amazing. I can't wait to be there and just like be in a room full of people like you described right there. I have three older brothers, and most of them, well, 2 of them played in sports, and I mean, I remember just like going into those like college games and the high school games and stuff, and like it was fun being a part of it, even though I wasn't really big into sports. And now I'm actually into something that everyone else is, and it's just going to be awesome to be able to be a part of the cheers and the just screaming about like, yeah, Echo Slam. This is going to be
And don't sleep on like some of the other elements too, like the content creation that's going to come out. Like I just listened to around the pit and like toffees, right now, so improve. We're talking about what they're going to be dropping. Like I think also this like TI just represents like the compilation of a year in Dota, and it's like a time for it's like this super stressful event for some content creators and things like that. But it's also like the culmination of people coming together who love this scene, who just want to grow the scene and just to like hang out, have a good time. So I'm pretty psyched about that too.
It's
Well,
pretty
it's
much
also-
the perfect setting for like a slasher film. I'm starting to realize for like our lake house. It's like they just wanted to go play the video. It's like, I don't know, get at me, Joss Whedon or whoever. But I like saying that those moments where you're so connected with everybody else that you see something that's happening for the first time and you're seeing it with like maybe they're not making a shot or something, but they're down there on stage doing it, and you see just the atmosphere, what just this game means to so many people. It's incredible, man. It's almost ethereal. It's like in the spirit realm, and you feel that moment for like the rest of time. It's incredible, and I cannot wait to experience it with you. Earlier, Flubb said dreams come true, and I would say so because the boy won the Battle Cup. And it was like, I watched all their games. It was fantastic play. I want to talk about the Battle Cup, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. Flubb, your team Hakuna Marana won a week before because you can't play. Flubb was out getting all the ladies, like 100 ladies all night. That's why he couldn't play in the Battle Cup. And so his team won. And I was just like, congrats, dude. But in the back of my mind, I was like, man, when he plays with them, he's got to win. He's got to bring it. Or else it's like, man, like poor Flubbster. But he won. He got the trophy. He secured the victory, and it was incredible. I watched all your games. It was great fun. I learned something new every time I watch you play. So, how was your experience in the Battle Cup so far, man?
Pretty good. The thing is, we've kind of switched up. In the past couple weeks, I haven't been doing as well for drafting, and luckily we're kind of lucky with our team. Proud was our original drafter, and he kind of just retook up the mantle. And we've been doing a lot better with him on that. I kind of feel like on our team, I'm better as a side drafter. I'm like, if whoever's drafting can see the meta clearly, I have the ideas that will like, oh, what if we pick this one random guy at this point, and kind of like give that like other side of the argument. I think that's kind of where I'm better suited, and we've kind of found
so you're devil's advocate in the draft kind of thing?
Devil's advocate, kind of, but more of like, what happens if we pick this? Like the last game in the match, we were probably going to face one of the harder people, but we actually had a breeze in our last match. I don't think it was necessarily all because of this pick, but we were talking in the draft stage, and Proud was suggesting a bunch of different heroes. And I think it's actually recorded if anyone wants to listen to it. But he comes up with really great ideas, and our team was giving ideas out. And Ridge and I just saw a point. I was like, well, we don't have any push. We need some stun. Oh, yeah, DK. Like, DK is a great pick here. And there's nothing really that they can do about him mid because he's a freaking DK. You don't win, you don't lose the lane. So...
he's just kind of a rock that sits there.
Yeah, and I suggested it, and Proud was like, "Wow, yeah, that's what we needed. That's exactly what we needed." And we picked it, and our mid player creamed that guy that game. Like he was like, "Yeah, we can get a gank," and then like even though he said that, I was like starting to go down there. He gets the kill by himself 1v1 as a Dragon Knight mid, and that's kind of hard to do because a Dragon Knight shouldn't be outplaying you. He's generally like a rock that you see what eventually is coming, but he was able to convince the guy that he had the kill, and he instead killed him on DK, which is impressive. So, and it gives
go ahead.
And it gives you like a huge bonus if you can get a kill with someone like a DK or someone who shouldn't be winning a lane, who's just like coming out even, and your supports don't rotate. Then that means more stacks, more kills in the off lane, just general. I mean, everyone knows in Dota that it's a snowball game. So if you can do well in a lane without the supports, then that's perfect.
What were you gonna say, AG?
I was just gonna say, when I listen to Flubb, like I kind of have to like remove the modesty filter, because I basically what probably happened is that everybody else had terrible ideas, and Flubb just like was the genius who graphed it all out and was like, guys, no, like this is the pick. This is what we need to do.
Like parting the Red Sea, he just said silence,
Yeah, I just like maybe he's like that guy who's like he's like the genius nerd in the office, and like the jock who's like removed from high school now in the corporate world like steals his ideas. Like, gotta stand up for yourself. Gotta be like everybody
But then
else was
Flubb
fucking
steals
wrong.
his lady, and he's like, "What? That Flubb?" And it's like, "Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
You check yourself, wreck yourself. Flubb stole your lady." But Battle Cup for me has not been good. If you guys listen to the Monday show, you know that Battle Cups, I mean, trophies can make friendships, they can break friendships. That's all I'm going to say, man. That trophy, like it's like Bilbo seeing the ring. He's like, I won it. You know, like everyone's like that towards that trophy. And then I see people who have it like Flubb, and he's like, it's all good. I'd be like, who's that? I'd be like Flava Flav, dude, with that trophy. I'd have like the trophy around my neck. Like, I'd be blinging it, man. I would be so representing that trophy.
See,
Like-
if I won TI, then I would be doing that for sure. Then I would know for a fact I'm the best in the world. But you gotta
Because
take
Wazoo
the
and I
steps,
are just
you know?
we're just plebs. Like,
Yep.
we don't have the Battle Cup yet.
I need one, though. What's going to happen at TI, I'm pretty sure, and this is me divining the future, is one of the wildcard teams are going to drop out, and the Valve's like, what do we do? And then Hakuna Marana will be like, we'll play. Wazoo, we need somebody because so-and-so can't make it.
Well,
And then
Proud's
you-
not there. We need a position one.
Proud will be there is the problem. So, and then he's a way, way, like 10 times the carry I am is the thing. So I was going to say Proud isn't there, but I'm like, we kind of need him. And we need your mid too. I don't know.
Well, there's a reason why everyone on our team I've
You're
picked
all really
all of them.
good.
we all try and we all play in a certain style that is important to us. There's a lot of times I've had people in the past that it doesn't matter if you're a very careful player or a very aggressive player. We have a good balance of both on this team, but if you don't understand the other players and you don't want to play with them enough, then you're never going to get anywhere. And we all want to play with each other. That's the thing. And if you're just playing because, like, yeah, you have to get there, you want to get famous, you're not going to get anywhere. And that's kind of the meat of one of the things, you know, you want to talk about when you get into teams is that you want to go into a situation where you want to play with the people, and it's not just about the communication like we talked about weeks before. It's a little bit into it where you have to be able to communicate, but you have to be around the people you want to be around, and you have to have plans going into this idea. You have to have a direct path, a way that you draft, a way that you see your team. You have to know them better than the other team. If you just go in and you're playing it like a pub, you say, well, this guy's good at this. No, you need to know that he's not only good at Sven. You need to know that, okay, he likes to build Blink at this point in the game. And he wants to go in with the Blink and he wants to try to set up kills. He wants to be the one who's stunning first. So that your Lion player knows, okay, he's stunning first. I'm going to actually wait on my Frog for someone else. Or I'm going to wait on my Frog on the guy that he goes in because
It's a chain of
I know
events,
for
right?
a fact. Right. And people talk about the chains and they talk about how that's working, but they don't really truly understand, and they don't really form that chain. It's like, yes, sometimes Lion is the best person to go in and you'll announce that, but if someone has a blanker, if you think that you can catch someone off because they're not playing to their peak of their ability, or if you got in their head game, like, it's better to blink in with a Sven because he has that opportunity, even though you can dodge his stun with like a Quap, because you'll have that surprise ability and you can set stuff up and you know the player and you'll know that he'll get it off. So it's about trusting your team, and it's about being able to execute it in a way that that not just a pub would do. You need to execute it like a team would do and truly understand without saying, you stun now, I stun now, because that's just chatter in a team fight. And there's already 10 people playing in that situation freaking out over every little move that another person makes and simultaneously. So you can't add to the chaos. You got to rise above it and kind of just know what needs to be done.
That's fantastic. We're going to come back to you because you have a lot to say on it, and I think we can wrap out the segment about you. AG, how was your experience in the Battle Cup? And I'd like to talk about mine a little bit. as well. And but first, I want to hear about yours.
Yeah, sure. So I played. This was my third week playing in it. And I went out in the earlier rounds in the previous weeks, but in this past week, I played with a little bit of like .p Devils mixed with Serene Machine, and we got to the grand final match, and we kind of our first two games. They weren't necessarily total stomps from the score perspective, but there was never a period in the game where I thought like the game was in doubt. Like in both games, I was able to play support and like have like super aggressive item purchases and stuff like that. So the game was like never in question in my mind, and it felt kind of stompy. But then we get to the third game, and we probably do what everybody does and do like a little bit of reconnaissance on the other team when you get into the match and you're drafting. And we just kind of like noticed, all of us kind of noticed like two of the profiles on the other team like hadn't been played in a while, and like had like when I checked like other players that they played a lot of unranked, and when you checked like the other players in the game, like they were like 4 to 5K ranged players. So I don't know, like kind of knowing that going in, and then kind of the result, we got like stomped as hard as I think I've been stomped in a while. So it kind of didn't end very well, but I think maybe they'll bring into like a conversation that we kind of want to go. But you can talk about your Battle Cup experience first.
Yeah, I played with Roland, Cyphus, Blackheart, and Pegasus, and we got wrecked in the semis. Yeah, we only won one game, and this Invoker just, if you've seen the new show that's out, Stranger Things, it's like
Dude, that show's legit.
Josh is like the boy. Like I don't know. He was like so scared of this Invoker. This Invoker just like destroyed him. It was like a predator chasing after a person. Like it was that frightening for him. He'd just be like, "Send help" over the comms, and then like just be torn apart. So it was a really frustrating game. The Invoker was incredible. Like he was like 30 of their like 38 kills at like I don't know 40 minutes or something. He was incredible. So, I don't know. I felt like maybe he was a little smurfy, but I don't know. I didn't check or anything. So, it got me thinking, what is to stop anyone from keeping an account near that tier 4, tier 5 level and just winning games with their alt accounts when they want to? I think anyone likes to stomp anyone else. So, it's weird that you're finding these games where it's like, yeah, these guys are good, and sure, they beat you, but it's not really like within the tier system that they would beat you. So what do you guys think you do to solve that? It's almost the only time in Dota I've seen a Smurf being a really big problem. Otherwise, I don't see it as being that big of a problem.
Yeah, the only thing what I'll say, what the games feel like to me. So aside from the fact that you're playing like in a solid 5 stack against another 5 stack, which you assume has like some coordination, is not just like 5 people who got online and decided to play together. But aside from like the little bit of team building or team practicing you have there, the one of the things that I've noticed is if you think about the system, you can abuse the system from the standpoint you can bring somebody on who has a very low solo ranked but maybe plays like a bunch of unranked, or as we mentioned, like might have 2 accounts. And if you're thinking of like ways that it could be exploited, like let's say 1 or 2 weeks I win the Battle Cup on my main account, and then I want to help out a friend or like some of my friends, I can get on a Smurf account that has at least a solo ranking, and potentially play with them and help them win because it's bringing it down. So I don't know, like I love the idea of the Battle Cup. I've had a ton of fun playing it. I've not taken it like too seriously, but I think it's probably something that Valve will want to continue in the future. I just think they might need to address sort of the competitiveness of the games, because like I said, this week in particular, it was like really stood out to me that my first 2 games felt like there was no competition, and then the last game felt like we were totally outmatched.
It's interesting. I did get a good game, the first one. The second one we lost, though. These guys played like 4 people would not go out and farm anything that wasn't super safe, and then the Invoker ran around the map. You know what I mean? It was like that's all they were playing. So I don't know if it was a Smurf or not. I just got thinking about the problem. Most experience and fun has been, it's been great. It's been great fun to have that organized experience around the Battle Cup time, or around the TI times. I think it gets everyone super hyped. I don't think it's something you have to take too seriously unless you win. at tier 6, which makes you a Dota god, right, Flub? But
Well, I don't know about that, but I do have something to say about what you guys are talking about right
sure,
now.
sure, sure.
The the way that I feel like to maybe kind of prevent people from making Smurfs is maybe like have it so that they still have to have their MMR. Like, I mean, yeah, you can still have Smurfs at that point, but you know, if you guys had some experiences, how many games were they generally played on those accounts? I would ask you guys.
Yeah. Well, so from my understanding, maybe we should like talk about exactly, at least to my understanding, how the Battle Cup works. So the way that my understanding, and maybe if you guys know differently, fill me in. But from my understanding, is it's based entirely off of your solo ranked MMR. And once it uses your MMR, it places you in two tiers. So it'd be like a 4-5 or 5-6, and you can select one of those to play in, and your team then plays at the tier that's the highest player on your teams, whichever one they select. So if your highest player is like 6-7, but you have a bunch of 4-5s, you're going to play at the 6-7 bracket, whichever one you select, whichever one the higher player selects. So it uses your solo ranked MMR, but the thing is there are some people out there who choose to only play unranked. So like for me, I'll give you a good example. I don't ever play solo ranked. I play party ranked pretty much exclusively, and then occasionally I play unranked when I play with people that are too far outside the band that I play in for my party ranking. So like my MMR for solo is like 25 or 2600, and I would say that I'm at least a 3K player. And so when I play solo, which happens once every 3 or 4 months, I find that my games are like super uncompetitive because I've done a lot of like my skill building, or like I've grown my skill as a Dota player through unranked and through party. So I think if they implemented a system where it took like the highest of maybe your 3 MMRs, like, and by that I mean your solo, your party, and then also your hidden MMR that contributes to what game you find as an unranked player, whether it be like, normal, high skill, or I can't remember the brackets, but there are brackets that they use for unranked MMR. I think they could do a system like that, and that would maybe alleviate some of this that we're kind of seeing.
It's interesting because it's almost impossible to catch, because like you're trying to find someone who's the champion, right? And so they won. It's like, good job. But this Invoker had like 800 hours, and he was like incredible. Like, I don't know, I've never seen anything like it. Like, yeah. I mean, he was super fed too, and it's hard to tell sometimes, but he like had the game under control, just that one guy. So it's just interesting, and they were playing all around him, and it seems each game they just drafted something impactful for him mid, and he just got a huge lead on the player that was like way below
I just
him.
know that this is like the reason why I don't like playing unranked and I don't like playing international and I mean, it happens in party queue too, I guess, but like you can play, there are people out there who play exclusively unranked. Like I did that like a year and a half ago. I never touched the ranking system after I got assigned my MMRs, and so I felt like I advanced on my hidden MMR or like on my unranked. But then, when I got jumped into to actual MMR, then I felt like I was kind of like I felt overskilled compared to everybody else. But that's just been like one experience I've had with the Battle Cup. It's definitely not been an experience that would prevent me from wanting to play more Battle Cups. So
I think that happens even if you play an MMR.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I there's a lot of times where I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head describing me earlier, that like I don't generally, one of my biggest problems in Dota is I don't have confidence in sometimes in the words that I'm saying, even though I know I'm right. And sometimes when you don't have that problem, or when you have that problem, you'll go up with people and you'll tell them to do something and then they just won't do it. And especially in pubs, it happens all the time because you're just a random guy who, what do you know? And they've listened to people in the past and it's been bad. But like I've been to like much higher MMR than I currently am, and I've seen the way that it plays, and generally for a while there I was only facing 5Ks, like, and that was the lowest per people that I would face. Even in my MMRs, like I would queue my games. I've never been 5K, but I would queue my games and I would never get a game that was lower than 5K. And my high games were about like 6.6K that I'd be fighting in. and like I would actually get queued in those areas, but it's so hard for me to extrapolate that now because like I've lost like a couple hundred, and now they start pairing me with like mid seven. I mean mid 4K guys, and it's like you can't tell them I've been higher than this because like everyone uses that excuse, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
like like everybody's like, yeah, I was 5K once because I just lost 500 MMR. It's like, nah, yeah, all right. Well, obviously you didn't because you just died so dumb there. But it's a problem that that needs to be faced. That like the MMR system, it's not that either any MMR system is broken. It's that like the combination of the three and the way that they move is so awkward, and you get matched up in really weird ways because it's taking from all three, and sometimes the other two are way lower than the other one, and it just puts you in these matches that feel wrong, and that's where a lot of hostility comes from.
Yeah, yeah, and I like. I mean, if this happens like once in a blue moon when I'm playing like an actual game of Dota, or like if I journey into the unranked Dota, it sometimes happens. But I think that it just comes out a little bit more when you attach some value to something. So like the Battle Cup, aside from it gives you like whatever 15 levels. It's also like the flavor of the week. Like you want to win the Battle Cup, have it attached to your profile, etc. So like anytime you attach a little bit of value, like people who can game the system will come out. I feel like the same thing
Right.
kind of happened initially with the international ranked, but it I don't know. I think it's they'll, like you said, there's no perfect answer that will solve all the problems that MMR faces. And honestly, like this is the best ranking system I've seen in a game,
Oh yeah,
personally.
hands
So
down.
like yeah, and like the details, if they continue with this, like I have faith in Valve that they could hammer out any wrinkles or iron out any wrinkles that persist. So
Um, yeah, I think overall it's a very good thing. It gets everybody involved, gets you playing with your community, gets people playing with people that are lower than them, and actually encourages that in a way that it really works out. So I don't know. That about sums it up. Flub, are you going to be back to defend your championship? I'm sure your team will be playing next week, right?
I'm pretty sure my team will be. I sadly will not. I have I have another busy Saturday. My Saturdays are always the worst. If they would have hosted it on Fridays, I would have been there every week. But sadly, I cannot. But
So they're going to
I
be
have
playing
faith in my
without
team.
you, and maybe they'll lose this. Like maybe they'll lose. I don't want to be the guy that says that
Maybe,
on air.
but I have faith in my team. I think that we're all about the same skill level, so we'll get there. I think that we'll just bring home another one once again.
Cool, cool. All right, guys. I think we're gonna move on, unless you guys have anything else you have to say
Nope, I think
about
I'm
the
good.
Battle Cup. Yeah, I'm sure they'll do something. MMR system, I will say on that, it's a great system. It works very well, but it's just rough around the edges in ways. It really is. Like, and there's some ways it, of course, isn't perfect.
could
So
be worse. We could be League. So
yeah, or a number of other games. I mean, Valve didn't even put in any type of ranking into Counter Strike until CS:GO. I mean, it's like they just typically haven't bothered with shit like that. They've just let players handle it. So it's good that Dota's kind of worked. But let's move on to the body of the episode, where I'm going to pass the mic over to Grandmaster Flub so he can, give you his wicked knowledge. Wicked's not quite that. It is wicked, like if you can't handle it, but like it's not. It won't make you wicked. It's holy knowledge. So go ahead, Flubsta.
All right, guys. So basically, we were wanting to do a continue on the path of talking about how to kind of develop your team. And one of the things that I've always kind of thought that is important is the direction that you take with your team. Um, and when I say direction, it's not only the direction in which you take with the drafting, but it's actually the people that you pick up on your team, and you try to go forward with. If you have a problem, or if you have a weird feeling about someone in the first like few games that you play, I mean, yeah, you can try to work it out, but if you like generally don't respect that person or don't like that person, your team is going to fail every single time. I don't care who you are. Like, there's if you have doubt on your team, it's going to hurt you every game. I have experienced this. I've been a part of it. I've been one of the people who's had that doubt and been like, we'll see if we can make it work, and it never ever ever works. So generally, when you come up with a team and you find people, it's good to find people that you respect and you have fun with. Um, but you don't want them to be your enemies, and at the same time, you don't also want them to be your closest friends. Don't start this game with the people that you've grown up with for all the time because like you're gonna have fun with them, but like I can talk to my buddy like for my buddies from long ago. Still have friends that like I've known since like first and second grade, but like I can talk shit to them, but like if I get serious with them, it's possible, but it's not as the same hard hitting situation. If you go into a game and you can like talk to a friend and you can be like, yeah, this is a problem, and it doesn't like hurt your friendship, that's great. But like sometimes in Dota, there's things that need to be said that are gonna like really piss people off, and you don't want to hurt your friendship by doing that. Um, and there's been times where, you know, you can say, "Hey, dude, like you're not doing this correctly. We need to put you in a different place." Or you can be nice about it in so many different ways, but if they don't ever fix it, then you know it's bad for the team. It's bad for you to have that like drama situation. Um, I know there's certain people who love drama, like man, my buddy Ursi, he loves drama, but it's not drama within the team. He loves drama like from other sources, I hope, and it's not like he causes the drama. He just likes to be in it. And we've talked about that before, and I'm like so against drama to begin with. So maybe just my personality bleeding through, but don't have drama on your team if you don't think that your friendship can handle it, or you don't think that your team is going to even like have friendship. Because if you don't like the guy that you're playing with, you're not going to save him. You're not going to like give a shit because you're going to be like, okay, well that was your dumb plan, not my plan. So you're at
Rather
fault.
than it being the team's plan and you guys kind of gathering up to make a goal.
Right. And
Just
that's not-
subconsciously does this happen, or do you think you could circumvent that? Or are you just kind of like subconsciously turned off to that person if you think they're a dick or something?
no, if you don't like the person, you will blame them for everything because it's I mean it's their fault. Okay, think about every relationship you've had in the past, whether it's like through school, through work. You can I mean you can go really far back if you want, but like if you truly think about any relationship that you've had and and you're like working together towards a common goal, if something goes south, it's that guy's problem. It's not your problem. It's not your friend's problem. It's that guy's problem. So if you're
Yeah.
playing with your friend, you're going to stick up for your friend's side, even though, because you like your friend, even though that guy may be right, or even though the situation needs to have a better outcome.
I believe that psychological disorder is called playing single queue with a party queue. Because like it's like everything's foreign and different. And there's two of them, and like then three split up people, and they're like, "It's all your fault, idiots." It's like strength in numbers kind of thing. And I mean, I think it's a very human thing to do, as shitty as it is. But you're likely not going to take out those feelings of like anger on someone that you're close to that you have to hang out with later. You're going to put it into a different place. And so like what you're explaining to me is like what I like about how you explain things, Flub, is like you're not like this is the one way. You're saying like it can be this way, but it can also be this way if you deal with it. Like you're talking about drama on a team. Like teams can deal with that, but it distracts from other things, right? Or it might, depending on the team, and maybe it works for some teams. Who knows? You know, everyone gets to where they're going in different ways, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing I'll add too is like I kind of on the topic of you'll blame people for when things go south. You'll also like find things that are that could be artificial things. Um, you know, you'll create artificial reasons why things went south. So if you end up with a loss and you're playing with somebody that you like generally don't get along with, or like you have no faith in them, or you don't want to play with them, or you have no confidence in their ability, etc. Like you'll actually create reasons as to why you lost that aren't necessarily true, and even beyond that, you may even create those reasons before you even enter a team fight that's totally winnable. Like you may go into a team fight and say, oh, like he always builds the wrong item, or he always skills up wrong, or you know whatever, and you'll go into that fight and you'll say that's the reason why we're going to lose this fight before it's even started, and that totally affects your play. It affects your chemistry, affects everything.
Yeah, the entire atmosphere.
Yeah, even if it's not like something that you think it'll affect it, even if you like put it into your mind, the moments in Dota are all about the split second, and split second decisions are always a gut, an interaction within yourself. So if you go into it and you're like, okay, I don't have faith in this situation, or I don't think the stun will go off, or I don't think he'll be BKB in time, or blink, or whatever, then that you're screwed. Like it's going to affect the team fight, and you're going to lose out on it every time. Now, if your team is like crazy good at split pushing, and somehow you can make it work, sure, like then you're kind of all playing your own game. But even then, split pushing, if you do it correctly, should be a team activity, and it's fascinating to me that like there's so many people who ask me about like what's good for this team, what's good for a team to start out, and I want to always tell them it's like don't go into a situation that you know is doomed to fail in the beginning just because you want to get to that prize pool. Like everyone wants to get to TI, and it's kind of something that I want to go back on. I talked about in the past. There's this thing that Roland did with all of us about talking about generally like what I think about certain things. And he asked me, one of the questions he asked me was, why don't you think that you're pro yet, Flub? And I came back with a kind of a snarky response of like, well, it's because they're lucky. And it's like, I didn't mean it in that way. I meant it as they're lucky that they found people to get to that level that they can work together with. Either that or they
The
are...
real answer here, by the way, I need to interject, is Arteezy is the reason Flub's not a pro. You keep switching teams so much that Flub can't find one to be on. So tweet at Team Secrets representatives, and let's get Flub a team.
I don't think I'm that good. There's definitely still things that I need to work on. But and Roland is right. There's certain things that every player needs to work on, and I myself, there's reasons why I haven't made it yet. But one of the things that pros do have is that they are lucky that someone found them in that situation. Like even you go to pro basketball players, like there are a lot of people who are very, very good at basketball, football, soccer, whatever you talk about, but they didn't get the chance because they weren't necessarily found, or they had other shit going on that they had to deal with, or it's just it's 50% skill. It's also 50% luck. Like you go into the game and you gotta like try to find the right people, because this is a team sport, and it's not like basketball or football or soccer or anything like that where muscles even make a difference. It's all about intelligence, and it's all about the fast movements of your mouse and keyboard. So it's not like you're genetically challenged, you are teammate challenged, if anything.
Is there just some point where you just cap out and you're completely reliant on finding someone who can match that level of skill that you need to grow? Or
there's a point that if you don't find people, you won't get better. If you're always helping people get better and they don't have the same intensity that you do, then you're going to be stuck in a rut, and you're always going to be in that MMR bracket because they don't encourage you to get to the next level. But if you find that team and you find that opportunity, then you will succeed and you will grow in MMR because you have someone there to like help prop you up.
Yeah, I think we've all been in that situation. Like I know, like personally, I was in that situation probably for like, I started playing. My first match was like in 2012. So I've been playing for quite a long time, but I didn't take Dota seriously until maybe like a year ago, and a lot of that was due to like some other effects. Like I know there's some people in the community that played a bunch of WoW like I did, so I was on like the WoW crack. But aside from that, like I was playing with personal friends, and like friends who didn't who were like okay at the game. I wouldn't say that they were like talented or not talented. It didn't really matter. What it mattered was like they weren't willing, or they didn't have the desire to get better at the game. Like they were okay playing, at whatever MMR range they were in, and like they just viewed Dota as this thing that they played every once in a while and had fun. And then like I just kind of I was like faced with a choice. Like, do I keep playing with these players all the time or these people all the time, my friends all the time, or do I try and like grow? And I think that's where like something like .p is so helpful because like you can find people of various skill brackets and kind of like challenge yourself.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the point of it, but I just keep getting worse the more podcasting I do. I don't know how that works out, but it's probably because I'm not playing Dota right now. So I'm learning. I don't know. .p's helped me grow in terms of just learning about the game.
Yeah.
Flub, what exactly like makes your team one that has the direction and the ability to execute? Did you always have that ability, or is it something that has built over time? I know Proud's kind of a player. I don't know. He's really a strong player. I don't think I've seen a weak game from him in a really long time, but he always seems just kind of like when you guys execute anything, you guys are ready to jump on it together. Those executions automatically happen. And it just got me thinking in the past week that you gotta be able to be with people who you don't have to like tell what to do. You know what I mean? Like, if you've already gotten to the point in those situations where you need to act without thinking and you have to tell someone what to do, it's almost like you've already lost. What like skill level basis do you need to like actually be good on a team? Do you think like, would that be 4K, 5K? Do you think that number keeps going up? But like, when can you start to be like useful on a team? I guess would be my question.
I feel like that's definitely a tough question. I think that any K person can generally do that. It depends on, each K plays the game differently. I think that 4K, it does help you pick up on certain things, and if you can get to that point, there's definitely like a flip of the switch that kind of happens. I don't think that threes or twos are incapable of getting that switch flip though, and I think it's possible for them to be able to play on another level and find that. It's about finding people that are as the same level of dedication as you are, because like if you saw Ham in the very beginning, like we weren't very like vocal about who we were at first because we didn't even have a name for like a month, and we were playing like we started in like, what was it? I think it was late January or early February.
I was watching you guys. I was like Clint Eastwood in $1 Million Baby, dude. Just like watching the Flubster. I'm like, that girl's gonna make something of herself one day.
Well, the thing is like I felt like we were horrible back then.
I wouldn't
like,
pull the cord on you though,
Yeah, but the thing is like we all had the direction that we all wanted to get better. So like knowing that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna stick with this team.
That goal was good enough, right?
Yeah, it's
like even if it wasn't all jiving.
It doesn't even matter. Like if I was with a bunch of 2Ks that still had that same like momentum and could learn from that, I would be fine. Like I've played on teams in the past that I've been a part of. Like I was heads and tails above everyone else on MMR, but that didn't bother me. It was trying to get people who were as dedicated I was. And I would find people that were as dedicated, but then other things would pop up, and then we just couldn't grow as a team. But you don't. It's not a restriction. Being 2K is like a way that you can't join into team games because you can't find people that are worth it, or you don't know enough about the game. You can learn that along the way if you have people that you're playing with and you truly want to learn it.
How do you stave off the ego? Because it feels like you guys win a lot, but you have relatively low egos as players, I guess.
You
like,
say that with
I don't know. Like I say that with some hesitation because it's not true.
Okay.
Like you have some ego towards the game, but I don't mean an ego. Like when I say you have an ego, people usually think I'm saying they're being a prick, but in reality, I mean like you have a representation and understanding of the game.
Yeah, but
you don't have a toxic ego. You know what I mean? That's the difference, I guess. But how do you stave off the toxic ego? Like, because you get an ego and you think you're the shit. I win the battle cup, fucking showing your trophy to people.
But the thing is like you don't jump on. Just like in sports, okay. If you have a situation where you come back from a win of a regular season and you think of it as a regular season, you're like, okay, that's cool. We got to the next step. We won that game. fine. You know, it's like it's about putting things into a certain perspective. And when you hit certain goals and you hit certain things, you kind of like you're like, okay, this is what should be happening, but you don't let it get to your head because if you beefed yourself up on it, the next loss that you guys have is going to be so much greater. And it's kind of a mentality of the person too. For me, I've always been kind of an up and down player in the past. Like if I won a game, I used to be that guy that was like super excited, but I've kind of like I've had that situation happen so many times where like I've won certain things and then you know you'll fail the next week and it hits you so hard and it like just hurts the team as a whole if you depend on every win as like this is gratification or this is like why our team is good
Is because of this win, not because of something.
that you did or
Yeah.
something that's possible.
Your
Like you gotta
direction. I guess that's what the direction is, right? It keeps you afloat, huh?
exactly.
Like your
You have to
compass.
know you have to have the direction to be able to even function as a team. Because if you don't have that direction, you're gonna you're gonna just have moments of just fleeting. Um, you're not gonna be focused on the game. You're gonna be so happy on a win that you're gonna like kind of play badly because you're not gonna be thinking about the picks, or you're gonna be so distraught on a loss because you're thinking about the game prior. If you're there in the moment, and you're thinking about this is the game. I'm playing this game right now. Then it really helps you um, just think through the process and not lose yourself in the atmosphere of the game.
Well, that is
Yeah.
some sage advice. I like that. You focus on the game. I think that's why you guys are doing so well because you focus on each and every game. You focus on each and every draft, and that's what direction is. You know, it's the ability to maintain that goal. And I mean, you guys are improving, so it's very cool.
And it's actually something me and AG have been talking about for a while. Is like it's not necessarily we were talking about like replays, and AG actually brought it up to me about like talking about replays, and I actually told him, you know, I don't really get to do it as much as I would like, and it's something that I'm starting to do with my team more. But we actually kind of do replays. Every single time we end a game, we talk about what could have gone worse or what could have gone better immediately at the game's end. Don't talk about it during the game. Don't bring up hurt feelings. When the game's ends, don't like be like, yeah, you did this wrong. This is awful. Don't pick this. Don't do that. Don't play like this. But say, okay, what's something that we need to work on before next game? Do we need to have more supports mid? Do we need to be picking up the smoke ganks? Do we need to check on Roshan? It's all about the perspective of the game and for freshly reviewing what ne- what people think need to be done. And in general, the captain needs to be one of the people that's talking about that because he's the one who's directing, or not even the captain, the shot caller has to be one of the people who's directing that conversation because he needs to know if I say something, it needs to be done. And it's not like it needs to be done without hesitation. It needs to be done without hesitation in certain situations. But if a shot caller can be in a situation that says, you know, I think this is the play, and if it's a spot where you can talk in the game, then that's fine. It's not like this needs to happen every moment of every second. You can a little bit talk it out a little bit, but when that time comes where the calls are being made and it's really crucial and you're playing that lineup that's like super push, then listen to your captain or listen to your shot caller, whoever you guys listen to, and just go from there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. AG, I'm going to give you last word on this. You didn't talk much. I think Flub got everything out.
Sorry about that, AG.
No, I don't mean like you're a windbag. I mean, I just think you pretty much ended it pretty succinctly there. So anything to say, AG?
Yeah, I'll say one thing, and maybe like Flub might have a point on it, but I think two pieces of advice that I would give anybody who's like starting a team, or hasn't done it before and is considering. Don't expect to win off the bat. And I'm not saying like don't expect to win in your first 15 games and then you'll start winning and everything will be great. What I mean is like you have to be able to take value from losses. And you know, like there's this old idiom that's you learn more in a loss than you do in a win. And if that's true, then how can you judge like the progression of your team simply by if you won, like lost or won the last game? You know, so like if you look at your if you're sitting there on your team and you've gone for a couple weeks and maybe you've like lost like 75% of your games, I don't think you can look at that and objectively say, oh, okay, like this team sucks, we're not advancing. I think you have to look at that as the opportunity of what you could be doing better, what you could be learning. And if you are like pursuing your replays, if you are doing what Flubb says, like talk immediately after the game, learn things, then I don't think anybody could objectively sit there and say like, oh, your team's a failure. I think you just have to chalk it up to everything, you know, comes in strides. So, and I think that has a huge impact on the morale of a team too. Is, you know, you got to like find those small victories. You got to if you have some losses in a row, you got to take some value from that. And I think that will also like, if you have a common goal, like Flubb was talking about, if you have a common goal, I think it also lends itself to taking everybody's minds off just the loss, and you focus on, okay, what can we do better? And then we don't care if we win or lose, like we want to make serious improvement in the early stage of the game, in the laning phase of the game, in our obs and our vision across the map, or our TP response to different towers, etc. And if you do that, I think then it gives you a very real goal, that then takes your mind away from just, you know, a W or an L.
Yeah, I like that. You can learn a lot from all games, you know what I mean? Just playing from behind is something I don't think you learn a lot of doing. So when people are put in that behind position, they're just like, oh, we lose. Yeah. And so even in losses, you can just spend time playing behind, you know, making sure you're maybe getting a farm pattern that you can TP out and not attract too much attention. Stuff like that you can do. Flubb, do you have anything to say before we move on to our item of the week?
I do want to say that it's also really important when you're going on with a team, to try to also believe in your team that that things are going to happen. Especially if you're in a situation where you're losing your lane or you're losing a situation, you really gotta depend on your teammates to come back. Either like have a person that's has ability to like farm out the jungle or do something like that. It's very popular to do that right now, and for good reason. Like the off lane loses a lot, and that's why Iron Talon is crazy good right now. If you can just pull back out of that lane and farm the jungle, it works out. Same thing happens for mid and carry lanes. There's a situation where like, yeah, you don't want to lose to that lane, or you don't want to have that situation, but if you're not getting stuff done, don't beat your head over it. Don't, like, even if it doesn't work out for the hero, like, try something different. Because, like, if you go to a lane and you demand something to happen that is just, like, it's not possible, you can't get it done, then it's making it worse, and you're putting the team in a very frantic situation. So I just wanted to leave it at that. And if AG wants to say anything, or if you want to say anything about that, I'd be happy to hear it, because I feel like a lot of times people take flaming as like yelling at the other person for that, but it's also for yelling at a person for not doing something right. But it's also, flaming can also take the form of feeding. So, yeah. What do you guys think about that?
I'm just gonna close out the segment by saying, like, on your flaming note, like, it doesn't matter if your flame is like it happened. Like, I think one thing that you said that was pretty smart earlier, and we've talked about it on the show before, is not bringing up what you have wrong with the game until after the game when you talk about it. And so, like, when you break that rule, it feels like communication from that point on is kind of difficult. It's hard to gain that respect. And once you lose respect with a team, it's hard to gain it back. You know what I mean? It's hard to gain back that trust, I guess. And you really got to trust your teammates. So it's a big part of direction. But We're running a little bit long in the tooth, so I'm going to close out this segment unless you guys have anything else to say. I feel like we covered it pretty succinctly. Do you guys have anything else to add?
Nope. I think I'm good.
Alrighty. Yeah, that's a series we're going to keep doing as time goes on because we see a lot of content in the whole dynamic with the whole team. I mean, 5 people, it's complicated. It's really complicated. You know, it's hard to get together with one other person and coordinate something, let alone 5 individuals. So it's good to have Flubb and AG along for the ride. With that being said, we are going to move into our item of the week, and we are going to do Flubb's favorite item in all of Dota or any game.
Oh, God.
And that is what, Flubb? I want to hear you say it.
Bloodthorn.
Ooh, it has a sexy name. It's an item people build when they shouldn't, and it's also really, really freaking expensive. So, why don't you tell us some of your criticisms of the old Thorn of Blood?
Okay, so the thing that I have, first off, I hate this item. It is garbage. Don't pick it up. There's only a very few situations that I think that it works in, and I generally have never said things like it's garbage about any hero or any item in the game. This one is the exception. I hate this item so much. And whenever I see someone pick it up, I'm like, man, that is like I almost want to say that we lost. And so much rage on it. But the thing, what Bloodthorn is that it silences the target for 5 seconds. And it amplifies the damage that is taken, just like how the Orchid works. But it takes the Orchid and the Chrysalis, and it like combines them together. And its whole total with all of that money is actually 7,195 gold pieces.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of monies. It is the second highest item in the game over Dagon 5, which in my personal opinion, no one's ever straight up buying a Dagon 5 just like straight cash, though no one's buying a Bloodthorn straight cash, but it's just like, why are you moving down that area? I would rather see someone buy Dagon 5, go for Dagon 5 and eventually build that up than see a Bloodthorn, because Bloodthorn, okay, it adds that silence and it adds the passive criticals that automatically hit on it.
And plus 30%, I think. On
yeah.
Yeah,
and it's good. It's good for what it gives you, but there's so much stuff that gets rid of it. Like, it is purgeable, and it's purgeable unlike anything. Okay, so like one of the most popular items right now to like get rid of stuns, get rid of silences, is to pick up a Lotus Orb on your team. You can see that coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
You can already almost probably get a Lotus Orb before you can get an Orchid. So like already Orchid's like iffy, but you can maybe get Orchid in and work it even better. If you go straight for the Chrysalis after you go Orchid and you're like trying to buff it up, I guarantee you before you get off Bloodthorn, if that's one of your first items, like one of your big items, you are going to have a purgeable way to get out of it. Either BKB, Lotus Orb, Manta.
Lincoln's.
Lincoln's.
You name it. I mean, it's dispellable by anything. So.
Right, and it's still like it doesn't give you true sight, so like you could use a Glimmer Cape on that person, and yeah, you can use area spells, but you're not getting the major critical buff on it. It's just there's so much about that item that I want to tell people. It's like no, like I'm gonna smack their hand off their keyboard and be like, you shouldn't be playing this. Stop it. Because
it's almost made for heroes that build the Orchid naturally, but like at the same time you don't want to get that. Like,
it's like the only item made for Clinks. But like the thing is, if you get to that point, you should have other items. Like it's the only item in the game I feel like that should be built as a 6th item.
Should it be cheaper?
It either needs to be cheaper or like a way to like make it less purgeable.
Because right now, I mean, the stats aren't that good on it. It only gives the 25 int plus 150% mana regeneration, 60 attack damage, and 30 attack speed. So I mean, it's not incredible, but those are items that you're not typically building to have incredible stats. The Chrysalis is not an item you build and you're like, buku stats, man. Or the Orchid, you know what I mean? Like you're building those for a purpose. So
I think
You're
I
building
think the item compounds on another problem that maybe has like kind of gone to the back burner a little bit, and that's like I think before you discuss whether or not this item should be cheaper, it's what do you like? Maybe you make Orchid cheaper because I think Orchid's also in a weird place where it's heroes where I feel like I used to see it rushed on more frequently. Now it's sort of like there's definitely like a time in the game where an Orchid is no longer the item to grab for multiple reasons. Like BKBs might come online. It's just like delaying your farm. You're delaying other items that help your hero progression, whether it be like farm or level, etc. So like I think Bloodthorn suffers from the same problem that one of its components suffers from, and that's Orchid. And it's like I think Orchid's just in a rough spot right now. So I think like Bloodthorn is like that just on steroids.
I feel like if they drop the recipe, it might be better. I like your Orchid, reducing the cost a little bit. It is a little expensive at 4K, but it is a silence, and an amplify. What's one thing that's especially bad about the Bloodthorn is let's not forget that the damage is dealt 5 seconds after the cast. So the silence goes down, and then it waits for 5 seconds, and then the damage is dealt out. So within that time, you could actually dispel it, right? Within that 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean that's pretty bad. I mean it's not a direct cast. It's a pretty long cast. So if someone picks up a Clinks or something, I mean what to.
Also, somebody can hit with a Glimmer Cape.
Yeah,
well.
I mean just stuff like that. It's like it feels like for this meta, it's just not good with all the options that there are to deal with it.
And also like another point that I'll make, and I do want to hear Flubb's like response to my suggestion about the Orchid. And I'm not saying necessarily that decreasing the cost of Orchid will solve our problems. And I don't think I don't think you can look at it just like everything in this game with the way that things are balanced. You can't just look at an item, decrease it by like 200 gold, and like, if you're thinking that the item is undervalued by 10%, you drop it 10% in gold, and then like all of a sudden your problems are solved. It's not like a linear progression like that. But the other thing I'll say about Bloodthorn is it feels like a type of item almost like Dagon 5, where it's like you didn't win because of this item, you just had this item at the end of the game. And everybody who plays against a Bloodthorn, it means you probably lost. If you lose against a Bloodthorn and you're like, man, this Bloodthorn's killing us, you probably lost because of other factors. It's just Bloodthorn is just such like an item that if the other team is so far ahead and you're so far behind where you can't get BKBs or you can't get Lotus Orbs or you can't get Diffusal Blades, Glimmer Capes on your supports, it feels like the item is like too overpowered. But it's not. Like Dagon 5 can feel that way at times, but it's more so that when you're really far ahead, the item just like shines.
Yeah. But it's not something that's going to shine.
It's not like the game was won because of the Bloodthorn. The game was won because of like what happened 10-15 minutes before that person bought the Bloodthorn. So
right. And the thing is like, yeah, I agree with you that Orchid is at a weird place right now, but I think that like even it being at a weird place it's more logically sound to even pick that up right now, because you could maybe, even if you do well, you can like guarantee that you do well with like getting it before the purge ability items come up. But even if you're like farming as like a tier 1, getting 7,000 over, getting like 4,000 for most of these other items, or even like 2,000 for like a Glimmer Cape, the likelihood of that coming up is just like, that's not going to happen. Whereas Orchid, there's a chance that you can get that, or there could be a higher probability that you could. I also think that like I've heard people talk about it in the past, and I've actually gone through this with my team even. And they've said like, well, what if you get it as like a fourth item or like a fifth item on someone, like because it kind of saves slots. It adds kind of a crit and the silence on top of each other. You're already building it, and the True Strike, so it gives you some like maneuverability. Well, not maneuverability, but some counters to some late game items, like Butterfly. And I see their point, and what they were saying is like you get it maybe like after you get a sheep stick, and I was like, okay, well, if you're gonna do that, then your sheep stick is the thing that's gonna win the game for you. And it's like if you have sheep stick with a crit or a sheep stick with, I don't know, like you can divide up that item and pick two other items that it's like you could probably build a better character out of those other two items, or have like a better situation out of those two items. And it just feels like the item has no place. And it's like, even if that one Bloodthorn is like it's built for Clinks, like why do we have an item that's built for one hero? That just it seems so counterintuitive, intuitive for Dota. Like there's a couple heroes that people are gonna say that it works on, like Storm Spirit and things like that. But did you really build crit before on Storm Spirit? Did you
No.
really build these items on these heroes? It's like the idea of this item is like almost like an afterthought. They're like, yeah, we need another big item. What's two things that we could kind of pull together to be cool? And it just feels like it has no place right now, in my opinion, with the introduction of a Lotus Orb as well.
Yeah.
If they took out like it being purgeable, sure, it's even better than going Sheepstick, but we don't want to really replace Sheepstick. Um, and like, and that's like the thing. It's like this item, I don't really see it getting better, and I don't really see it getting um, like a fair balance patch, and I don't really see like them being able to really like buff it any more than what it already is, unless they like lower the cost, and even then, I don't even know if that's worth it.
What if you put charges on it? And by that I mean like refreshable charges. So like you know how like who's the person with an alt
Shadow Demon?
Yeah, exactly. Like what if
It
you
had
put
like
two
three
charges on it?
charges.
Yeah, I feel like 3 is maybe a little too much, but like let's say you put 2 charges on it. So that
That
way
would
you
work.
could use it, so you could use it on like their main carry. So like there are situations where it seems legit. Like if you're a Storm Spirit and you're fighting into a Drow, right? Like Storm Spirit doesn't want to buy MKB, and Drow's not going to build BKB in most games. Like maybe against a Storm Spirit she would, but like in most situations, like she's a carry who goes for evasion, who will grab like your butterfly, but may not necessarily have a BKB. So like there, it's like wow, I have True Strike. My entire team has True Strike against her, so nobody has to buy an MKB that they don't want to, and she's never going to get a BKB. But even if, like, let's say you have a situation where you're building against somebody who's a natural BKB carrier, and I don't think you can make Bloodthorn, like I don't think you could buff it and say it can't be purged even by BKB, but because I think that would make it too strong. But let's say you made it so that it had 2 charges, so you go into a fight and you could silence, like I'll arbitrarily pick somebody with a BKB like a Sven or a PA, and then but you still have a charge for like that support. Because to buy an item like that's 7,195 gold or whatever it is for like their 5 position lion, like like there's so many other items you could buy that, and it's completely irrelevant, right? Like you're not buying this item to kill a support, you're buying this item to kill a carry. But maybe if you had 2 charges, like then you could play around with it. I don't know.
Yeah, it would also be pretty deadly too. Like you'd have
Yeah.
to maybe increase the cooldown rate because it's like at 11 seconds.
Yeah,
right now.
that's what I was gonna say. The upgrade I feel like a lot of people overlook is like the insane. It goes from 18 to 11. Like that, you're looking at the potential of using that twice in a fight versus Orchid. You're probably not gonna use twice in a fight. But
Yeah. It just ends at that last part of the game. Something like that, like the fights end so fast. Like even in this like tanky meta that we are currently in, it's still
yeah,
it just I don't think that, it could work. And your idea though, it has a possibility. Giving charges to an item would be interesting.
Yeah, I like that idea as well, and maybe lowering the cost a little bit, because where it's priced right now is just, it doesn't quite feel right to me. I mean, you look at late game items like Scythe of Ice, Scotty, and stuff like that, and it's like this thing is more expensive. It's crazy, you know?
yeah. Well, you can't manta off Scythe, but you could manta off like this item.
Yeah, it's
Like
kinda,
that's think about the gold difference between these 2 items.
But
like, Scythe of Ice is still expensive. But.
Yeah, I got to stop us there, just because we've gone on quite a while. Still got some more to get into. So you don't foresee them fixing it, Flub, or you think they'll make some changes and it'll ever be an item that's kind of relevant, or
It's dead.
dead to you?
Dead to
Ice
me.
Frog does weird things. He may be able to revive it, but it's dead to me as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. With that being said, that's our item of the week, guys. Never build it. Every time you do, a Flub dies. out
Just a
in the
little bit
wilderness.
inside. Just a little bit.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I want to cover TI and our TI plans here at .p. We will be there all week. Make sure to come see us, say hi, tweet at us, and we will meet you. We'd love to, meet the people that listen to the show and talk to you and whatever else. We will be there for all days of the event. We will be doing live shows there while we're there every day, I believe, at Royal Gaming. Royal Gaming is the place, and that's in AG actually lives in Seattle, so it's like you said, it's in the University District.
Yep, it's in the U District. It's northeastern Seattle. It's a pretty good district. Got a lot of nightlife, so
cool.
Or got some nightlife. So
come by, watch us record a show, hop up on stage with us, drunkenly grab the microphone, get kicked out by security, get in a knife fight with Wazoo out in the parking lot, share some rum, go get some tattoos. That's where the night will go, Flub.
You're encouraging a knife fight with yourself.
No,
already.
Okay. Just come and listen to the show, have some drinks, hang out. We'll talk Dota 2, and we'll love to see you. Everyone will be there, so please stop by. These guys will all be there. Everybody else from all the other shows are going to be there, pretty much. So, stop by, say hello, tweet at us, and meet up with us at the event. You guys have anything to add TI-wise?
Yeah, don't be shy. If you see us and you want to talk to us, I would love to talk Dota with people. I don't get it enough where I'm from. So if anyone wants to talk to me about Dota, that is why I'm there that week. So I want to talk to you. So
we will gladly be out there ready to talk. And if you haven't been to TI, it's a very cool communal thing that they have set up. It was interesting for me to see in that blog post that they were kind of like advertising that outdoor area. They posted a blog post today, and they're like, you can come and watch it outside if you didn't get tickets for the finals, which is cool. You're just right outside of the event. You can just kind of sit in the sun and watch it. So if you didn't get tickets, even come by. I know it's going to be an incredible event. So we will be hyping that throughout the week, guys. Check out our live content Monday through Thursday next week. And tweet at us and let us blow your socks off with some Dota knowledge, or Flub will blow your socks off, and I'll just hopefully try to make you laugh. Okay, so I'm going to close out the show, guys. Do you have anything else to add before we do so?
Nope.
No, I'm good.
Nope. Okay, why don't you start, AG?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at Ag47_Dota, and also stop by the in-houses. I do some casting with my good friend ZD, and those will probably be picking up sometime after the international. Taking a break for now, but
they're going to do a drawing for anybody who played. So what's the news on that?
I know it's happening Wednesday. I don't have any other news aside from that, but if you played, I think you get a spot on the wheel or whatever mechanism they'll use to hand out items.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Something
but it's definitely Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll be giving out the prize money Wednesday, and those will be resuming after TI. So Flub, why don't you go ahead and tell people where they can reach you, my friend?
Anyone can follow me at FlubDota for if you guys want to get in touch with me on Twitter. Also, like AG, I'm not as gifted as him on the mic, so I generally just play the Dota how it's supposed to be played, and I just join in and play with people. So just come in and have fun with us whenever we start it back up again. It'll probably be a week or two, like AG said, after the tournament, and I'd be happy to play with you guys. Just come on down.
And as for me, guys, I am the Grand Wazoo. I wanted to thank AG. Thanks for joining us so much, man. Flub, thanks for joining us. Wanted to thank everybody else who comes and listens to the show and supports us, those who donate on Patreon, those who patronize our it's like you're talking down to our Twitch channel. Thanks for patronizing our Twitch channel and YouTube, and I wanted to thank Serene Machine as well as Grouty for the great in-house season. They put a lot of work into that, so wanted to thank everybody involved. We will see you guys at TI. That's when we'll be recording our next show. And so until then, guys, stay hard, and you make sure you stay classy.